Welcome to the Caribbean Property Investing Podcast, where we share real-life experiences for successful Caribbean property entrepreneurs. Learn about their successes, challenges, and strategies to help you create your plan for financial freedom. Now let's get started.
Courts is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Courts Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more will now benefit from the extensive procurement network of the Unicomer Group, the parent company of Courts and Courts Business Solutions, among many other retail brands. We will provide clients with everything required to complete their establishment or business place, based on their unique specifications and needs. In addition to sourcing the world's most reputable brands, Courts Business Solution will also ensure that clients receive the most competitive prices, warranties on all with products, and delivery in the shortest possible time. Financing options are also available for purchases. Courts Business Solutions provides full end-to-end service, from sourcing to delivery and installation, maintenance and repair. We are ready to serve you. Let's partner with you to realize your dream. Courts Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
Welcome to episode 39 of the Caribbean Property Investment Podcast. We've been doing this for almost 3 years. So far, we've covered more than 10 islands from Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Barbados, Antigua, St. Kitts, Jamaica, Bahamas, and today we are doing an amazing country, renowned actually to have the world's #1 beach. More on that later. And we also want to make an announcement, a major announcement, but you have to wait until the end of the show to hear what that is. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for following us on the podcast, for sharing, for the questions. Keep them coming. We're available on all social. And remember to subscribe so you can get the updates as they come along, as new episodes are released. As I was saying, without further ado, we'd like to introduce our 39th valuable special guest to you from the beautiful archipelago of Turks and Caicos. We'd like to welcome Drexwell Seymour to the podcast. Welcome to the show, Drexwell.
Hi, Anselm. Thank you for having me on the show. I watch your shows from time to time, so it's a pleasure to be as a guest today.
Yeah, I mean, Turks and Caicos is a place that we always been interested in, at least in the Southern Caribbean. We see some of the most beautiful landscapes, beautiful beaches. We know that a lot of Caribbean people try to move to Turks and Caicos for work, for employment opportunities. But we do know it takes a while before they lose that title of non-belongers. But that's one of the things that make Turks and Caicos an amazing and unique place. Why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, who you are, before property, of course.
Sure. Well, I'm originally from the Turks and Caicos, and I have my accounting firm now, and I also do property management. But prior to that, it's been 10 years now since I've been in my own business. But prior to that, I used to be the CEO for Cayman Islands for about 7 years. And then I was a financial controller prior to being the CEO. And of course, I, in addition to having my company, I'm also an author. I now have published 2 books. The first one is called Rise Up and Take Your Position. And the second book I just launched last month is called Succeeding in Your Position. And of course, my wife and I, we also have another business, an office supply store and a home goods store. And we have 5 kids.
Yeah, Drex, you've been busy. That's like what, 6, 7 hats, and I'm sure that there are more hats that you wear that you haven't shared. But tell us about that. First of all, the island. Which island are you from? Providenciales, main one.
I live in Provo. I've been living here now since '91, but I'm originally from an island called South Caicos, one of the small islands in Turks and Caicos. But the Provo is now my home. That's
And
what
you have
most
like
people would.
eight main islands and something like 299 keys.
I don't know how many keys we have, but I know it's more than 100, but I don't know the total.
Yeah. In your previous role in telecoms, just a question, was it challenging to connect the islands, and how is transport links and the ability to get supplies and even business get access to the islands outside of some of the main ones?
It it is it's not that challenging. For example, we have flights between. When I was a CEO, we had flights between the islands, but now it's changed. We now have a ferry service to one of the big islands called North Caicos, and then there's a causeway between North and Middle, so you could drive from one island to the next. But prior to that, we had scheduled flights to these islands. We still have scheduled flights, but not to all the islands, because now that more people are using the ferry, we don't need scheduled flights to those islands because the demand is not there. But it's not as challenging as people may think it is. It's workable. It's workable.
We'll come back to access, especially in the property management. But tell us your first foray into real estate. How did you first get involved in real estate?
I got involved in real estate many years ago. First of all, I bought this, I bought this piece of property, and then I built a house, and then I built some apartments, and then because of demand for apartment rental, not just short term but also long term, I built another set of an apartments, and I had a mixed use. Some I put on short-term rental, and some I put on long-term rental. And I'm also now, my wife and I are also now building another set of apartments. We're still debating whether it's going to be short-term or long-term. So real estate is one of the biggest growing industry in Turks and Caicos, probably in most countries. And so I think it's best that people tap into it. Of course, everything doesn't last forever, but while this is booming, we might as well tap into it. And so I got involved in it, and I see the benefits of it, and I just continue to explore more opportunities.
So that first property you built, your house, did you always have that in mind when you bought the property, or that was something that happened after you built your home?
When I bought the first piece of land, it was the intention to build my dwelling home. But due to medical reasons, I didn't qualify for the loan that I wanted to build the dwelling home, and so I built a small home. And then I said, wait a minute, this is like 0.78 acres. Not a full 1 acre, but 0.78. I said I could utilize this property, so I decided to build another building and build apartments on it. But the original intent was to build it for dwelling home, but due to health reasons, I didn't. But then it worked out in my favor because I was able to use it as investment property.
But back then, Drex, what was the price per square foot? Because 0.78 is somewhere close to like what, 35,000 square feet, roughly, something like that.
At that time, I think I paid about 24,000 for the property. But now that's probably 50 or 60, 70,000 for the land.
But Drex, even and that's 24,000 US, yeah.
Yes.
But even then, say 75,000 EC, there's no way you get 3/4 acre for that kind of price in the southern Eastern Caribbean. Was that considered to
Really?
be affordable back then, inexpensive, or that's a deal, or that's average?
That was the deal. That was the deal. That was the deal. And I think that was around 94, I believe. But now, the prices have escalated.
And how close to like amenities, shopping, healthcare, government offices, how close is that? Tell us where that area is compared to
We are in
in
a
other parts.
central. The good thing about the property, my first property, we're in a central location. It's not far from anything, very close, and that's a very good benefit about the land I purchased.
And when you looking for property back then, as you're dwelling, what was some of your what was your criteria other than price and location? What are some of the things that you're looking for when you're buying that first piece of property?
I wanted a view. Honestly, I wanted a view. So I was looking for, I mean, obviously price, but I wanted a view and in a good location. That
And
was my criteria.
for clarity, for those persons listening and watching this podcast, in the Caribbean, when we say a view, we're not talking about mountain view. We're talking about sea view. When we say a view,
Yes, sea
we
view.
just don't say
Yes,
sea.
yes,
We
yes.
mean sea
Ocean
view
view.
because Drex, there are valley views, mountain views, country views. We're talking about
Yeah,
sea
that's
view.
true. Good point.
And why do you like sea view so much yourself?
To me, it's relaxing when you come out of your patio, your deck. You're working all day, and it's a put you in a relaxing mood. Working obviously for Kim was at that time could be very stressful. I mean, anywhere you work. I mean, so many hours. So when you come home and you just look at this creation that God created, it's a great place to meditate and to just see that view.
100%. I agree with you 100%. So for me, it is that calming kind of sensation. And I've always said, even if I were to migrate to North America or Europe, I must watch water. I must, wherever I live, I must be able to see
Yeah.
water. And that's a big
Yes.
part of kind of, my happiness. All I'm missing is a cup of coffee, Drex, and just sit down with that cup of coffee. It's a ritual that I
That's
have.
it.
Now, the other reason I like sea views because I call it my recession buffer because I've always known that once you have a sea view, the demand for your property is always higher than a mountain view or any inland view. So that's the other reason.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to the construction of the apartment building, the first one. In some islands in the Caribbean, on one lot, you cannot do a separate dwelling. They must be connected either by a covered walkway, Drex, or adjoining. Is there such a stipulation in TCI? And why did you decide to build the structure that you built? One, is that a stipulation? It must be connected?
No, I mean, my buildings are they're designed the same way, but they're separated. As far as I know, there are no stipulations for it to be connected. And the land was pretty big, and so it was. In fact, maybe a third building could also fit on the land, but there are no stipulations.
If I had 34,000 square feet, I can assure you I can do um, maybe 20, 30 units. But I'll be multifamily. So tell us about that building. How many units did you put on that structure? In that structure, sorry.
So the second building has 3 units. It's like you have a basement, that's an apartment there, and then you have two bedroom. On each level is a two bedroom. And then of course where my house was, that's one building with 3 bedrooms. Of course I could, convert them to 2 units, but I didn't do it after we moved out.
And what challenges do you remember? I know it's a while back. What challenges do you remember, having when it came to that construction of that first unit outside of your home? What were some of the key challenges you had in TCI at the time?
Honestly, I didn't have any challenges because I knew what the budget was. I knew the contractor had given me the price, and I didn't even have any issues with the bank. I got 100% financing because of the value of my land. And so every time I got an invoice from the contractor, I just draw down the money and pay the contractor. I really didn't have any challenges with the construction.
What about timelines? Did he meet your timeline? What was roughly how long did it take to build the 3
It
units?
took about 6 months. Yeah.
And what about your overall cost? Did you meet the budget or it went slightly over or under?
No, I met the budget. I met the budget.
I think what people listening and watching may have missed is that you said that you were CFO before you became CEO. So do you think
Yeah.
that having a finance profession or professional doing that, do you think that helped you at all?
Yes, that helped me because I was conscious of I was very conscious of the money I was spending. So it did help me because I was keeping track of it.
And as it relates to that, what were some of the, I don't know, strategies that you use to make sure you stay on budget?
Well, I mean, for example, when it comes to materials and stuff, contractor would let me know what materials are, what I needed to get. And so I would just go and get the stuff and make sure it gets delivered to the construction site. I think that's a good strategy to have. Sometimes you just let your contractor do everything, but if you could separate the materials, you have a list of what you need, you go and get the stuff, deliver it, and I think that's a very good thing to do. You're able to manage it more, because sometimes there's a lot of waste, or you have to contract and everything. It's not that much focus, but if you do it yourself, it's your money that you're trying to preserve. So that helped me a lot with the getting materials.
Drex, what you're speaking of there is like a labor-only contract. It's not very common because most contractors would not want to do that type of deal. I did
That's
that,
true.
and I will tell you, I saved perhaps 50%, 40% on the project. But you must be available. You must be able to go when they call you and provide materials from the day before.
Yeah.
And another advantage that you have is that you not just control and you see what goes in and out, but you actually get the discounts from the hardware stores. In some of the islands, when you're doing a project as a contractor, you get up to 20% discount on most materials. Perhaps not lumber. Lumber maybe 10%, and cement will be price control. But on the other items, you can get up to 20%. And this podcast is meant to help people. We don't want to get in trouble with any contractors. Contractors are our friends. But what happens is that when you get a quote, typically from a contractor, you get the store price plus a markup.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's say they put a markup of 10% on the materials. You pay for the transportation. There's a markup of 10%, plus you may get a discount of 30%, of 20%. So in all, you can pay up to 40% more on those materials than you actually need to.
This is included.
Something else a lot of people who do the labor on the contract do. For the project, they may buy a vehicle, may buy a truck, and do their own transportation and sell the truck back after, or get into an arrangement with a trucker, and then have a special deal, and you pay them less per load, per trip, but you guarantee them work for the entire project. What were some of the other cost saving measures you remember, if you can, that you used?
So also, I mean, I know you talk about the contractor discount, but also some of the building material stores here, if you open an account and you put a deposit on your account with the building material store, they give up to 10% discount. So that's another strategy that people could use. Contractors get discounts, but so do individuals. You just need to apply to open an account and put a deposit on it, and whenever you go get materials, you get a 10% discount.
Yeah, that's a new one for us. So our listeners definitely will ask about that in different islands. I mean, we don't have that in St. Lucia, but I think that's an awesome awesome facility.
Yeah, you have to be a contract, and of course, when you're building, even though I got like 3 quotations, because and the 3 quotations are so different, and so that helps as well because you're getting more than 1 quotation, so you know what you're dealing with. Of course, sometimes we tend to go with the lowest quotation, but sometimes that doesn't help if the contractor is not a good contractor. So you'll be very careful with that. But get 3 quotations, at least 3 quotations, and then decide which one you're going to go with.
But Drex, I think we took it for granted that people do that. So that was one of your strategies. You get at least 3 quotes for the project. In a lot of the islands now, contractors actually charge. I don't know if you know that, but they charge to do estimates.
The estimate?
They charge up to in St. Lucia up to $1,500, so it's $600 US. But by using or getting at least 3 quotations for every job, you definitely give yourself an opportunity to get the best price. And as you
Yeah.
said, it's not always the cheapest price that you go for. But as I was saying, in the Southern Caribbean, they charge for quotations up to 600 US. And if you choose
Yeah, they
them,
charge too.
they give you a refund.
They never used to, but they start charging between $1,500 to $2,000. And I can understand it's their time that they take to provide a quotation, and it could take several hours or at least 2 or 3 days. So I could appreciate that being in the accounting field, especially if you're going to be taking time to do a quotation, you're not even sure you're going to get the job. You need to get your money back for the time you spent on it. So they are charging that here too.
I mean, I can hear a credible perspective that, I mean, you want the work, so you bid, and if you go to get the work, why should I pay you to bid for your job that you might get when you're going to be charging me profit on the project anyway? But I do understand that. Let's go back to the project when you decided to do 3 units. Um, what went into the design of your structure? How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, orientation, size? What went in? What was the thinking there?
Well, first of all, I wanted the second building to look just like my first building. I wanted uniformity. Of course, I painted a different color, but I wanted uniformity. And so the 3 units, 2 bedrooms and 1 bath was in each of the units, except for the basement. It was just a 1 bedroom because what I did, I put a wash house in the basement with 3 washers and 3 dryers. Now, of course, if I did it all over again, I would have put a wash and dryer into each unit rather than having a separate room for that. I mean, I was able to change it about 3 years ago. I now have that wash and dryer room as the storage, and so now I have a wash and dryer in the units. But when I initially bought it, it was separate.
So you wanted to save costs, so you have one laundry area for the 3 units.
Well, I wasn't even thinking about that. I don't know why I didn't think about that earlier. It wasn't about saving costs. I didn't know I was able to fit the wash and dryer into the area, but I'm able to fit it.
Yeah, I think even the 1 bedroom, in our market, one bathroom. Sorry, in our market, a 1 bathroom, you get complaints a lot.
Yeah,
My first apartment I did was 2 bed, 1 bath, and a party room, and people complain about it.
yeah.
It's almost like there's an expectation now that all bathrooms must be en suite to the bedrooms, and it's just not practical sometimes. In terms of
Well, that's what I did
your
with my
pricing,
second. That's what I did with my other project. So I built 4 more units in a different location, and it's 2 bedrooms and 2.5 baths. And so I learned from the first project.
I was actually jumping ahead. In terms of pricing, how do you decide to price the renter?
Wow, it was based on the market. I honestly was based on the market. We knew what the price were for a 2 bedroom unit, and so that's what we did at that time. Like my second project, it was very expensive. We were charging $2,500 a month for a 2 bedroom unit. That was back in 2004 or 5, I think, when the economy was doing so well. Everybody was charging me $2,500 for a 2 bedroom unit. And ironically, it's happening again because around 2009, we had to reduce our prices. Now the prices have gone back to what it was in 2003.
So the first set of units, what was the rental? What was the asking price for rent back then?
That, and with a 2 bedroom and 1 bath, that was like $1,500 a month.
And who were your typical tenants? Locals, expats, where were they from? What's the profile?
They were expats. Yeah, they were expats. Yeah.
In terms of the requirement or request from them, anything that was different to what like a local TCI person would ask for in terms of what the guests, your tenants were asking you for?
I think no. I mean, well, I think one thing I learned from the first unit, I had window ACs, and so the guests, moved in. They wanted like the split unit. Of course, I did that in my other project. With my first unit, I had window ACs, so that's the only request I think was the ACs. I should have put split units in instead of the window ACs because it doesn't cool much anyway. So that's one thing a request that I had.
It's amazing. Your proximity to the US would have that, and even in the Bahamas too, but in the Southern Caribbean, nobody does window AC. I've never seen window ACs in my life in the
That was
Southern
years
Caribbean,
ago.
Southeastern Caribbean.
Yeah.
Never see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
a typical requirement, or well, a key requirement of expats in the Southern Caribbean would be gated community, security, and perhaps, I don't know, maybe TCI is safer, but typically expats want your property to be fenced and gated. That's the most common requirement. Of course, everywhere must have AC, AC, but gated, fenced and gated is a big requirement of the expats. And the thing is, the expat
Well,
budget
here
is a lot.
we have different types of expats. We have the high end, and you got the low end. The high end will want gated and stuff like that, but the other folks, as long as they have a place to stay, that doesn't matter.
And you're right. It's different kind of demographic in terms of even the foreigners. But let's move on to the second project. You did say something, Drex, which our people listening would have probably raised their eyebrows, where you said that you got 100% financing for the first build after your home. That doesn't happen at all. In the Southern Caribbean, it doesn't happen. You always have to
Really?
put something down.
Right? I got it. I got it. Because what happened was I paid for the land, and so the value of the land was enough equity, and so they gave me 100%. I didn't put anything down except the land. Was the bank held it as collateral, and they put in all the money for the construction.
I think that's awesome. So you have two buildings on three quarter of an acre. The
Yes.
next project was where you did what did you do next? Did you build on the same piece of property, or you move somewhere else?
No, I have another piece of land. I have 4 units there. This one I did it more high level. I had a pool. I put a pool in the place, and there's 4 units. It's like it's townhomes. It's 2 1-bedroom and 2 2-bedroom. So 1 bedroom's on the end, in the middle,
Yeah.
in the 2-bedroom.
And do you still have 1 bath in them, or you have 2 baths now?
No, I have 2 baths.
Even in the 1 bedroom?
I have 2.5 baths. I have 2.5 baths in the 2-bedroom. In the 1 bedroom, I only have 1 bath.
And that property, when you acquired it, it was specifically for rental. You knew that was for property investing.
Initially, we wanted to have that property for our business, our office supply store. But then, we decided, no, we're not going to do that. And so we ended up turning into an apartment place. And we had half of it renting to tourists and the other half long-term tenants. So 2 was long-term, 2 was short-term.
And that was deliberate as well? Or that's just how it turned out?
I was just trying to mix it. I wanted to, because everybody's talking about how much money there is in the short-term rental business. I wanted to try it out. And that's what I did.
Who manages those properties? The short-term one especially?
My wife and I, we do it ourselves.
Before we go into that property management stuff, which I want to talk about a little bit, what was different about that second investment property in terms of the type of contract that you have? Were you able to secure the same labor only?
This time I didn't want much headache, so I let the contractor do everything. We had a fixed price, and he went to do everything, and I was happy with the product anyway. So I didn't go and do any materials. He did everything.
Was it the same one or a new contractor?
No, a different contractor.
While we're there, what are some of, yourself and your wife, what are some of the personal kind of things that you look for when selecting a contractor?
Well, we look at the finished product, because we really like with this contractor how his finished product looked. Some people build, but then the finishing doesn't look good. We want something that looks good not only inside but also outside, so people be attracted from even the outside. So that's what we were looking for. Good, and he also built. He was different from the rest of the contractors. He built this out of complete concrete. Our other project was built out of blocks, and he just used pour concrete for everything, and that was a good thing for us. It was cheaper, but also stronger for us.
That's interesting, because not many contractors do the poured concrete, because you have to buy the molds. I'm going to talk about a project a little later on. We're looking at that right now, but most people do blocks. As an accountant, when you were designing that second one and you got the budget, roughly, just give a ballpark, not as much as detail as you want to give. Like, what's the average price to build per square foot right now in TCI?
Right now, it's around $250 per square foot, I think, around that figure, between $250 to $300.
Drex, that's crazy.
What is it in St. Lucia?
100 US, 125 US, 150
Oh,
US square foot?
no, it's 250 or more here. I'm probably being very conservative, because we're building another building on the highway for a plaza, and that was like 4 years ago. We had a quotation. It was $250 per square foot. It was 6,000 square foot building, and they told us it's going to cost about. It was 12,000 square foot building. They told us it's going to cost about $2.4 million, something like that.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if I do my math is
And
correct,
the price has
like
gone up even more now. Because
did
construction
that happen
is very
after the hurricane?
The economy just is booming, and there's a lot of constructions going on, and there's a big demand, and contractors know it, and so because of demand, the prices are even higher. In fact, they might be turning work down because they're so busy.
And what's your ROI? Because for me, a good short-term yield is about 15 to 17% for me. Yeah, annually, rent 70%. If prices double, I won't be able to achieve that, because I don't know if the market can stand the increase in rent, because you certainly can't double the rent unless there's
Well,
so few
the rent
buildings
has
and the
increased
demand is so
significantly
high.
here. I mean, I know people are charging more than $1,500 for one bedrooms. Some people are paying $3,000 and $4,000 for two bedrooms. The rent has increased significantly here, and people are paying it.
So, Drexel, we get into that faster than I intended. So, a young guy, just started working, come from university, let's say he's at his mom's home looking for an apartment, looking to buy some land. I mean, what advice do you have for him? How does he get on the property ladder at $250 a square foot?
I mean, he will have to make a lot of sacrifices. I will tell you that. With the land, I would recommend people getting land. There's definitely so many benefits of purchasing land, because land always increases. It doesn't depreciate. And I don't like loans, but I will tell you, I would recommend people get a loan to purchase land, because you can't go wrong on buying land. So they'll have to get the land, because you find a lot of young people buying these vehicles. They're spending money on things that they really don't need. Get the loan, and give up some of the things you're doing, and purchase that land.
What's the current interest rate for mortgages right now in TCI?
Right now, I think the mortgage is around 8%. I think it went up a lot. My mortgage when I got it was my mortgage was less than 5%. But of course, it went up significantly now. I think it's 8%.
It follows the US Fed rate.
It does.
In TCI.
Yeah.
Wow. So for the first time in my lifetime, I'm seeing rates below 5%. Never before. I don't have one yet. I still have 5%. But
the rates are below 5% in St. Lucia?
No, only now. First time in my lifetime. So I got a call 2 days ago where a bank wants to offer me 4.25 unsolicited.
Yeah.
Never heard that before. It's always
Oh, no,
seven, seven and a
that
half,
was,
6.
it was about 4 or 5 years ago, it was like that. And what I did, I locked it in for 3 years. I was able to lock it in for 4.75, I think, at one point for 3 years. And then when the rates was doing so good, I took it off and put on variable. And now the rates went up again. So I was able to get back into a fixed rate with the bank.
So Drex, people often say to me that, real estate is so risky, why are you taking those chances? But I try to mitigate, or mitigate my losses and manage my risk. I would never ever take a flexible exchange rate. Never. So whereas in St. Lucia, there's a product where if you have a US generating business, you can't get a US rate mortgage. So I know someone who has a mortgage, and she was enjoying a 3.5%. I mean, unheard of. Now it's 8%. But I've always been stuck on my little 6%, my 5%. I would never do a flexible because I just have no control. So tell people, what can they do when the flexible rate goes from 4% like 7 years ago, 6 years ago, to now 8%. What do you do
You
for
know what
rental
I did?
business?
You know what I did? Because I had switched to variable because the rate was so good. The variable was better than the fixed when I switched. So what I did when the rate went up, I went to the bank and I convinced them, I spoke with them, and they was able to give me a good rate. In fact, what happened was I got another offer too from another bank for lower rate. So I told my bank, listen here, this other bank is giving me 4.75, whatever. And so my bank, who told me my rate is going to be 8%, they reduced it to match the other bank. And so I locked that in now for 3 years. You need to talk to your bank. Don't take it for granted. Just go to the bank and tell them.
I think people need to believe that they have more influence. I won't use the word power, but they have more influence than they think. You always need, and I've said this to many people. Some of the most important people in my life is my doctor, outside the family, my doctor, my barber, and my banker. I know just maybe someone there, a pastor, or my priest, but my banker is right up there in that four. Because having a relationship with a banker can really help you achieve your lifelong objectives, short term, medium term, long term. You need to have the relationship. But up to yesterday, I had an issue, on a transaction I'm closing right now, where the negotiation fee or the administration fee, was too high. And I said, well, this is way too high. I need something better than that. You have to push back. So typically, the most banks in the Southern Caribbean Drex can charge anywhere up to 1.5% of the loan as a negotiating fee. I've told them change that because there's no negotiation, so they call it an admin fee.
Yeah, they do
But
it
I've
here too.
negotiated up where I've gotten it at 0.5 or 0.5%.
Yeah.
So we want to urge people, when you're looking for your financing, you can push back, or at least, ask enough. All you can say is no, and
Mm-hmm.
then you might
Or
you
that's
might you
all you do
might
is
entertain
ask. Yeah.
another bank. But I like the long-term relationship. My bank, I've been in my bank from the time I'm 18 years old, so that's too long to
Yeah.
mention. More than 30
Yeah.
years.
Relationships are very
Is it
important.
the same for you? Do you have a long-standing relationship, or you switch?
I do. I do. I could call the bank up. I have an account manager. I could call anytime, say, even if say my customers are taking long to pay me and I have to write a check, I'll call them, they'll hold it for me.
So let's move on to that second property. You were catering for a different market. Clearly, was it difficult getting it tenanted, or before it was finished, you actually got a request for rentals, and did you again use existing market rates, or you pushed it up a little bit?
No, I didn't have any issues because at that time, I think it was like 2003, 4, the economy was doing so well and people were coming here. They needed a place. And so I didn't have no issues. Not the place got rented before I opened it. and I got what I
And in terms
asked
of your
for.
pricing,
Mhm.
did you listen to realtors, or you chose you determine your own price?
No, I did it myself. They came to me myself. I think one of the units, someone came to me and they found someone for me, but I did it myself.
So I follow your to create the Turks and Caicos Real Estate Association. You have a magazine that I really enjoy. Maybe sometime in Southern Caribbean we can get a magazine for our real estate associations. And I see the commission. The commission is split between a buyer and seller, right? And something like 6% altogether, or 3-3. What's the commission
I think it's,
for rentals and for sales now?
you mean for the sale of land?
Sale of land, or rental of property, or sale of buildings. Commission to the
I
agents,
think it's between 6 and 10%. Depends whether it's a building or whether it's land. I think it's between 6 to 10%.
which is higher than ours. Everything up there is more expensive, Drex.
Yeah, but I know like for property management, it's like 15 to 20%. But for the sale
Yeah.
of land, it's about between 6 to 10%.
And how that second property, which is third in all, but the second investment property, in terms of your occupancy, it's very high, right?
Oh yeah, very high. I discontinued the short-term rental because my wife and I were doing it. It's a lot of work. You got to be very meticulous, and even though we're getting good reviews, it was too much work. So I decided to just switch to long-term rental. Even though the short-term rental was good, but it was only good from like from November to April. The other months was very slow. Even though we did well during that period, and then some guests are very picky, very choosy. They see little arms, they complain about it. I say, you know what? Let me switch back to long-term rental.
And for people listening here and wondering whether or not to go short term or long term, what would you say is the difference, roughly, the incremental revenue as a percentage on top of long term that you can enjoy possibly from short term? What's the factor?
I think
2, 3?
the short-term rental at least about 20% better, but it's seasonal. It's not all year round for short-term rental. At least for the long-term rental now, it's all year round. And with the demand for apartments right now, that's something you have to review. I don't know about the other Caribbean islands, but there's a huge demand for apartments. So you could even rent a 2-bedroom for $3,500, $4,000. You're going to get it rented. And so some people are moving away from long-term to short-term, but I'm moving to long-term because of the less stress, less headache. I think there's so much wear and tear with the short-term rental. You got to make sure you pay close attention to the guests. You got to be careful of those reviews. You're going to make more money, but you might get more headaches with short-term.
Definitely you need to cater to them more. But I will tell you from my experience, I do double. I do 100% more revenue with my short term. It is
short
more
term,
work. Yeah, it is more work. But yeah, and some
it
people
is all year round.
yeah, no. Some landlords will say, Drex, that they prefer having short term guests. They get them for 6 months, get double or triple the revenue, and have the place empty. That way, you don't have somebody living there all the time, especially if you live on property.
Okay.
Okay, so let's fast forward. Right now in your portfolio for residential, about how many units you currently manage?
My business or me personally?
Well, the business, for the number of units that you have rented, residential.
Okay, so I have like 9 units personally that my wife and I manage, and then I'm managing 12 units at another 12 units at a resort. They do not belong to me, but I'm managing on behalf of someone else at a resort. And
And
I'm
in
building,
TCI,
I'm building 6 more. I'm building 6 more.
6 more right now.
Yes, 6 units.
So in TCI, what do you charge for property management? So we're about to launch a property management business in St. Lucia, and our rates are anywhere from 10% of the long-term rent, or long-term or short-term rent. But also, if you have to do guest check-in and check-out, it goes up to as much, and pay bills, it goes much as up to 20%. What do you charge now in TCI?
Okay, so if we're doing everything, if we're doing the bookings, we're meeting the guests, it varies from 15 to 20%. If the owners are doing their own bookings and all we have to do is meet the guests and take care of their needs while they're here, then we charge 10% of the bookings.
Yeah.
But if it's the percentage is based on the rate. If the rate is $200 a night, your management fee is based on that rate.
And when and why did you guys decide to go into property management?
I decided because I was it came to me actually after I opened my business 10 years ago. A year later, I was doing the accounting for one of these hotels, and then the company that was managing their units decided to discontinue, and they was looking for someone. They said, "Why didn't you manage it?" And I always wanted to go in the hospitality industry. That was my dream, to own a hotel, still my dream. And so I went into it, and it was a good opportunity for me. And it's been now more than 9 years since I've been doing it, and I like it better than my accounting part.
That's strange. What does property management entail typically in TCI? Give us a range of services you offer.
Okay, so we'll do that. We'll go on these different booking engines. You got VRBO, you got Expedia. We would respond to the guest inquiries. Once they confirm their reservations, we book it into the system. We communicate with the guests back and forth until they arrive. We collect their payment. And then when they arrive, we check them in. And when they're here, we tend to the needs while they're here. We book them, we meet them at the hotel, and that's our role. It's basically like a full service.
Repairs, transport?
We don't do that, but if repairs are needed, we will contact a maintenance person. We are responsible for the resort, for the unit. So if there are damages in the unit, we have to inspect the unit, we will call someone to fix it. We don't do it personally, but we have companies that do it.
And
but we must make sure the unit is in good order.
But is that tricky? You typically have reliable people, especially even for your 9
No, it's not tricky. No, it's not tricky. It's pretty good. It's not tricky at all. I mean, reliable people is the big issue, of course. Everybody's busy. But it's not a problem for us. We have 2 very reliable people that we use all the time for repairs and maintenance. We always use them. So we don't have a problem with that.
So I'm an optimist. I never ask, negative questions, but people, we always get the complaint that we make everything look so easy, and I don't think that we do, because we speak about challenges all the time. Tell us what's like one of your most ticklish, uncomfortable, your worst experience as in property management. Like what was the worst experience you had with a guest?
Oh, the guest comes. Well, first of all, one of the biggest issues we had was the guest showed up and the guest was not on our list. That was a nightmare for us. Thank God we had a room. What happened was the guests, when the reservation was received, we put the wrong year on the reservations. Instead of putting, say, 2023, we put 2024. So in our system, when the guest showed up, their name was not there. And that was horrible for us, horrible. And we had to move the guests, not only once, we had to move the guests twice, because the way the property management works, especially Expedia, you're not being assigned a room, you're being assigned a room type. So a guest may be in one unit for 3 nights, and we had to move to another unit. And they were not in one unit for the whole state. That was one of the biggest issues for us. And of course, other concerns, things happened. We had a gas recently that the ceiling fell. And the guest was very upset. Of course, that haven't happened for us at any time. That's the first time. That was a nightmare for us. And we compensated the guest one night. We was able to get the ceiling fixed the next day, but the guest still went ahead and did give us a bad review. But those are the type of things that we go through. And some guests just find some things to complain about, and just make issues out of everything.
I have two
Because
questions I want to ask. The first one was
want a discount.
First question I wanted to ask was, what tool do you use? You said you put it in the system. What tool do you use for property management online?
We use WebPro. It's a reservation system, and it's linked to our reservations with Expedia, Booking.com, and VRBO. So it's a calendar. So we went over double book, and so it's called WebPro.
Yeah, it's so those tools are so important, because I still do a lot of it manually, but I've had situations of people showing up and wrong dates. I put the wrong date in, and so I had to pay for them to stay at a hotel.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
yeah.
sometimes, Drex, you have to pay to put them up somewhere, and they want the money back too. It took as a loss, and that still does not guarantee you're going to get a good review, because you can pay out, give them the money, and still get a bad review.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the drawback.
So we're going to start. Yeah, we're going to start wrapping up now. I haven't asked that question before, but why real estate? Why property? Why go for you had a cushy job, CEO. You said you have accounting practice. You have a hardware store, convenience store. Why real estate? Why?
Well, I don't know about the other Caribbean islands, but I know in Turks and Caicos we need multiple streams of income. We cannot survive off of just one stream of income. And the opportunity is here. Real estate is, my opinion, as I mentioned earlier, the fastest growing industry in Turks and Caicos. So why not? I think people should get involved in it. It's a great opportunity, and people should embrace it while it's there. There's a great potential, and I would encourage anybody to get in it. It might not be the best all time, but you will achieve something out of it. And you need to supplement your income. So why not?
Well, somebody can say because it's highly capital intensive. Your building cost is crazy. 250 a square foot. Land price is crazy.
But you know what? In the long run, it's an investment, and you're going to get a return. You're going to get a good return on your investment.
People say as a long run, Drex, I need to survive today. I need to eat this month. Tell me, tell our audience, in TCI, starting off, how do you get in this business, and what do you need to do to be successful in this business?
It's interesting. I wrote a book on how to succeed in your business. How to succeed.
Tell us about it.
You have to succeeding in your position. So I have 10 tips, but I think people need to work hard. This is not a 9 to 5 job. You got to work hard. You got to build a network. You got to promote yourself, promote your business. And when you develop that network, people can refer people to you. And I tell you, it pays off. It pays off significantly when you network and have relationships. And you have to take risks. And you have to be confident. I mean, too many of us are afraid. We're just afraid to step out of our comfort zone. And because you're afraid, you're going to be in the same spot for a very long time. So we need to, break away that fear, take the risk and say, hey, I'm going to make it. I'm going to do something. If I experience any obstacles or experience any failures, I'm not going to give up. And that's what we need to do. And you will be successful.
We get so many naysayers, and it's about education. It's about mindset. But to the person saying, yeah, Drex, you can say that because, you had a big job. I'm working for the government right now. I have my student loan to pay, but I'm still interested. I'll buy your book. But how can I start, or what do I need to do? Give me some tips on starting this journey now.
Well, first of all, you need to start with what you have. You don't need to be saying you're waiting on the right moment. You don't need to say waiting on the right amount of money. You need to start now. If you have a job with government or you have a nice job in the private sector, start, your own business on the side, as long as you're not cheating your employer out of their time. So start with what you have. The little cash you have, the little materials you have, start with it. Start with one. If you get one client, just keep building it up, building it up. And that's what you need to do. Start with what you have, and then you start getting your client base start to grow, and then you reach a point where you don't no longer have to work for someone. That's what you have to do. Just start with what you have. Get your business plan. Open up the bank account. Of course, get your business license. Separate your money from your personal money, and just start with at least one project, and you'll get the ball rolling.
Yeah, Drexwell, thanks a lot for that. You said something which resonates with me so strongly. You said start with what you have. My phrase is start with where you're at. So Drex, thanks a lot for taking some time out to share your journey. I want to give you an opportunity to give some parting words. Tell us about your businesses, your books, and where they can find you.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your podcast. Appreciate it. As I mentioned, your two books, Rise Up and Take Your Position. It's on Amazon. It basically is a book to encourage people to pursue their passion, to get up, to rise up from where they are, rather than just keep sitting down waiting on someone to help them. This book is for you to identify your gifts and to cultivate your gifts. And then the next book is Succeed in Your Position. This is also on Amazon. It's a sequel to the first book, because you can rise up and you can take your position, but you might fail. Yeah. So it's important for you when you get into that position that you're supposed to be in to succeed. And so this book provides you 10 essential steps on how to succeed in any position you are, whether you are a husband, whether you're a wife, whether you are a leader, wherever you are. Those are the steps in that book. And I want to encourage each of you to believe in yourself, to know that everybody, I believe, has a gift. Everybody has a purpose. You just need to know what it is. And those books will help you to identify it. And once you know what it is, go for it. Don't compare yourself to nobody else. Work on what you have to do. Stay in your lane and do what you got to do, and you will be successful. We need more entrepreneurs in the world. We need more business owners. And there are many people out there who are just afraid to take the risk. You can do it.
Well, Drex, you give me goosebumps, and exactly what you just said, dovetails nicely into our announcement. And the announcement I wanted to make was that I quit my job. I quit my job for the second time. I wanted to retire at 40. At 40, I left at 41 after 17 years in the company, just like you, Drex. I just had that itch. I wanted to do something more, and I felt that I was working a lot out of the regional roles, and I wanted to come back home. And because of the banking process and understanding the industry and financing, I couldn't leave at 40. I left at 41. I had 2 years off, and then I could have retired. I could have still retired, but the issue was you couldn't get financing, at least in St. Lucia. One, because I didn't have a track record, according to the bank, enough of a track record of one building, actually two buildings, and that's 9 units. No, 6, 10 units. 10 units and my home. So I never done for a track record. And so, I just continued. I went back to work because that's the only way I could get into the mortgage. So I got into the mortgage and I built 3 more units. And we're going to show some more video as well. I'm doing 10 units now, right now as we speak. Modified it a bit. So I'm doing 8 1-bedrooms, 1 studio and an office. And I just felt it was the right time. I wanted to retire at 40, left at 41. I said, there's no way I'm going to be sat at a desk at 50 years old. So at 49 years and 362 days, was my last day of work on the 9th of June. I said,
Congratulations.
I'm out, took my vacation. It's scary now. But if our listeners are interested in the journey and planning and and how you can probably leave your job early or retire early, drop us a comment, send me a note. We can talk more about it, talk some more details about it. Maybe we can do a masterclass, Drex. Maybe Drex can come on the masterclass and,
Sure, I'd be happy to.
share his book. I'm certainly going to get a copy of it this afternoon.
Thank you.
And read it ahead of that time. And exactly what you said. We need more entrepreneurs. I have my daughter is 19, about to go off to school next month. My son is 16, just finished high school. So it is scary. But I can tell you, Drex, in the last 3 weeks, the feeling that I have is a new feeling for me. It comes with more responsibility too, because it means that now you have to plan your time. The one thing I didn't want to do is that I did not want to have to report anywhere at any time. But you have meetings that you have to go to. And in terms of your own planning, which today's the 21st or 22nd or 23rd, I now know that I need to sit in this office early in the morning, plan my day, and check my stuff, because the day goes by quickly. And I'm excited about the journey. It's not, I'm not 100% comfortable yet. I'm still uncomfortable, but they say,
you'll be all right.
You should be uncomfortable, because
you'll be right.
Going to
certainly you can be right. My experience will be right.
But I'm doing what I love doing. I love property development. I want to share, because exactly what you said. You start with what you have, and you can do it. And in our time, Drex, this podcast didn't exist. There was nobody to help us.
Right. It's true.
You understand? So we want to urge you to take advantage of it. Drop us a line, send me an email, check out Drex's book. I'll put the links and stuff in the details in the podcast information. And I'm so happy to finally get you on. Thank you, Drex, and listeners. Until next time, remember you can get us on IG, Caribbean Property Investing, Facebook, CaribbeanPropertyInvesting.com. Just reach out to us, share the podcast, send your questions, and subscribe to the channel. So until next time, where we're going to get our episode number 40. Remember what we say: everyone needs somewhere to live. You better own yours and start where you're at. See you.
Courts is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Courts Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more will now benefit from the extensive procurement network of the Unicomer Group, the parent company of Courts and Courts Business Solutions, among many other retail brands. We will provide clients with everything required to complete their establishment or business place, based on their unique specifications and needs. In addition to sourcing the world's most reputable brands, Courts Business Solution will also ensure that clients receive the most competitive prices, warranties on all with products, and delivery in the shortest possible time. Financing options are also available for purchases. Courts Business Solutions provides full end-to-end service, from sourcing to delivery and installation, maintenance and repair. We are ready to serve you. Let's partner with you to realize your dream. Courts Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
Congratulations and thank you for tuning in to the Caribbean's first property investing podcast. We want to help Caribbean people create wealth and achieve financial freedom through property investing. Our show provides general advice based on personal experiences and is for educational purposes only. For more information, resources, and past episodes, visit us at CaribbeanPropertyInvesting.com. Remember to click the subscribe button so you never miss a show. Let's go.